Hi everyone and welcome back to my channel. I am Caspian and I read a lot of books. So, do you remember that I talked about, before March, I talked about being home because I was gonna have a surgery and I had this whole bunch of books that I was gonna read from my own shelves. These are the books that I read from my own stacks, and then I read 5 more books from the library. Because at the beginning of March, I had 3 books at home from the library, which I prioritized because I wanted them to be read so that when I was able to, I could go back to the library with them. Well, then I was able to go back to the library, and I also had some books on reserve to pick up. And I picked them up and they ended up being only a 2-week loan on them. So I was like, oh okay, I have to read these. If I want to read them, I have to read them in March because I did manage to get to the library. I have been doing a lot better after my surgery than I expected. You've seen a lot of updates from me since my surgery on the 6th of March. And I feel great. Knock on wood, I feel great. I have one from my own stacks that I'm reading right now. That was from the TBR, but I didn't finish it in March, so I'm reading it now. It's the 1st of April when I record this. So, the stats first. I'm so behind with my reading journal, so I have my stats on a little post-it here. So, my average rating last month was 3.56 stars, or 3.5 stars, which is a bit lower, definitely lower than both January and February. And I remember going so strong into this year, like 5 stars, or a lot of 5 stars in January, a few 5 stars in February, and now I haven't had a single 5 star in March. So my average rating was a bit lower than usual, and I'm not really sure why. I'm not sure why. So, when it comes to genres, I only read 1 YA book, and it's so weird because I feel like I'm so sick of YA books. What I am currently sick of when it comes to YA books is that the main character often is a teenager and immature and self-centered. And now looking back, thinking, have I only read 1 YA book? I'm like, have I read adult books with self-centered, immature main characters? And I'm just sick of the trope, maybe? So maybe I'm not sick of YA books, I'm just sick of the trope of self-centered, immature main characters. So 1 YA book. And then when it comes to genres, I read 1 romance, 1 contemporary novel, 2 mystery novels, 2 mystery novels, 1 fantasy, 2 books with LGBTQ representation that was prominent, 1 historical novel, 1 with magical realism, and 1 with paranormal. And if it feels like I've read a lot of fantasy, but there are some, commonalities between fantasy, magical realism, and paranormal. Like that feels, the feeling of like the supernatural or something like that was present in all of them. So I'm gonna go through them in the reading order, and the only ones I have to hold up are these. If someone knows like an easy, preferably free editing program for PC computers or Android phones, where I can actually put up like pictures on the screen when I edit my videos, I would be grateful, because that's one feature I haven't really found when I've been looking around for free alternatives, because I don't have the money right now to buy or to subscribe. And so I did find one app, and I did all of the work, and then when I got to the end of it, I had to pay to download it. I was like, well, thank you, you know. So the first book I read in March was Ricochet. Okay, so Ricochet is the second book in the Addicted series, and it's by Krista and Becca Ritchie, which I think are sisters. I don't know if they are twins, but they are sisters. And Ricochet is the second book in the series. I'm not gonna talk about the book itself. I did enjoy it. I gave it a 4 star. I'm gonna put this here. I gave it 4 stars. This is my reading journal. So I gave it 4 stars. And it's considered, I think I put it under romance. Of all the like genres it can be. Yeah, I put it under romance. And it's also got friends to lovers trope. Found family trope. But I think it does have found family, but I think it's more focused on the family that Lily has. So this series is about Lily and Lauren is his name. Lily and Lo, and they are both addicts. So in the series we follow these people. So Lily is a sex addict and Lauren is an alcoholic. And we follow them through their struggles and their struggle to keep their relationship to each other, because in the beginning they are codependent. And in this second book there's more. Initially I was kind of bored with it because there was so much focus on Lily and her struggles, because in this book they are kind of separated for a reason. I'm not going to go into it, but then as the book progressed we got to see how Lauren was as well and follow him a little bit more. But it felt like it was a lot more focused on Lily, this book. So the first book was focused on both and their relationship and how they were codependent and how they were kind of hiding their addictions for each other. They helped each other do that. And then this book is more about how they have come to terms with their addictions and where do we go now. So I talked about this in a reading update, so I'm not going to talk too much about it. But I did enjoy it. I gave it a 4 star and I want to continue the series. The second book I read was School by the Sea by Jenny Colgan. And I ranted a lot about this in my video about it because I didn't like the fact. I even ranted about it to my dad yesterday, how much I disliked this book. I did give it, I gave it a 2 star. It was the low point of March for me. One of her older books, and there are certain things in it like fat phobia that I wasn't really. I was stunned. But I talk about it a lot in another video, so I'm not gonna rant about it. It's just, yeah, I didn't like it. So I'm not gonna continue that series, but I want to read some of her other series that she has as well. Next one was this book, Avdelning 73 of Sofie Sarenbrant. So this is a book in Swedish. It's a mystery novel. It's about a woman called Emma Sköld, and Emma is a detective. So he's a police detective. She wakes up in a hospital after 5 months coma, and during the time her boyfriend or her husband, I think they are, I don't know if they are, no, they're not married, they just live together, but they have a daughter that was 4 weeks old when Emma had her accident and fell into coma. And she's been in a coma for 5 months, and during that time an ex to her boyfriend have been taking care of her daughter, but she doesn't know that. So she wakes up and feels like something's off with the accident, that it wasn't an accident. So she thought when her police partner comes to visit her, she talks about this, and they end up trying to solve the mystery behind her accident. It's a really good book. I give it a 4 star, and I read more books in this series. This is the 4th one in the series. and they are like standalone within the series. So I wanna keep reading the series when I stumble upon it. I'm not like eager to do it. So I gave it a 4-star, and I do recommend it to all Swedish readers. This series, Emma Sköld. So yeah, that's kind of it. I talk about all of these books in other videos, so I'm not gonna ramble on too much. And then the 4th book I read, so I read 8 books in March. The 4th book I read was also one from my shelves, and this took me a long time to read, Celestial Monsters. I talked about this in another video, but I didn't really talk about it because I read this during my first week and a half of my recovery from surgery, and I was so out of it from antibiotics and pain meds and all of that stuff. So I did enjoy it. I didn't enjoy it as much as the first book, but I think I will when I reread it. So I annotated it a little bit, but I want to annotate it again. I want to reread it, annotate it, and I'm going to talk about it more after that. So this is a fantasy novel. It's the 2nd book in the duology of the Sunbearer trials. And so the Sunbearer trials is the 1st book in the duology, and I read the Sunbearer trials last year. And it was my favorite of last year, so I had kind of high hopes for this one, which is why I wanted to read it during my recovery, because I was like, oh, I'm gonna love this. I'm gonna have this when I recover. I learned during my earliest recovery that the next time, if there is a next time when I need to have like downtime after something major, I'm gonna read Swedish books. Because this one, it was way too difficult to take in when my mind was kind of numb from all the meds and my body I didn't have an energy. So the next time I'm gonna read Swedish books only when I recover from something. But in this book, this is after the trials, and it's basically the quest to, because at the end of the 2nd book there was like an incident that altered the world. I'm not gonna talk too much about it because it was my favorite. I wanted to read it, but there was an incident at the end of last book that kind of altered the world, and this is a quest to restore what they messed up. Kinda. Next book I read was Rampljus by Amanda Hellberg, and it's a Swedish historical novel, historical romance-ish. It does have a romance in it, but the focus of that novel is to because in the novel, which is the last one in a series, the Ulltunasviten, Ulltuna series, is the last one in a trilogy. It connects all of those books very well. I really enjoyed this one. I gave it a 3.5 star because even though I enjoyed it a lot, it was my least favorite. We followed one character, Harriet, who is a part of an ensemble, a theater ensemble in the beginning of the 1900s, and she ends up getting this role in a big theater to help her little ensemble survive the winter. And the book is about her experience in that theater, but at the same time also her experience and the romance with the male main character, which is why don't I remember his name? I remember he's blind, right? There was some this was a series with a lot of disabled representation. In one book there was someone who had some physical ailments, a physical disability, and in this book it's very much focused on how he goes through life as a blind musician and a blind pianist. So I really enjoyed the book, but I don't feel like I want to read it again right now. If I will, it will be because I liked how it connected all the dots at the end of the series. So if I read it again, I will read the whole series, and then I will probably read this one because I did enjoy it. So the sixth book on that I read in March was the Dallergut department store, and it's, I don't remember what genre it was. Medical realism, I think. I put it under because I didn't really think it was fantasy. So in the Dallergut department store, it's about where we go when we fall asleep. There's a department store in like the dream realm where we go to purchase our dreams. And in this book we follow a store clerk, or like someone working at the store, and her life working at the store, and her getting to know the dream makers. But also, the one thing I actually enjoyed the most about the book, I gave it 3.5 stars. The one thing I enjoyed the most about the book was how we got to know the dreamers, so the regular people. We got to know each and every one of them a little bit before they purchased the dream, and why they needed that dream specifically, and then how they felt afterwards, and kind of if their life took a turn. So there was a lot about this book that I didn't really enjoy. I didn't enjoy the pacing. There was something off about the translation. Now I remember why I only gave it 3.5 stars, because the translation was, in my opinion, not good. It was like, if I was to translate a Swedish book to English without knowing anything about the genre, the world, or anything like that, it would be, in Swedish we have a word, it's Knapphändig. It's like, we also have a saying of use what you have. Like, you don't need to be a pro at everything, you don't need to have everything perfect, just use what you have. It's originally a saying about cooking. Like, it doesn't have to be a perfect dish, just use what you have and do it with love. And this was like, sure, but it didn't deliver. It was like someone was like, oh, I'm just gonna have to use my wits, I'm gonna have to use my sparse English vocabulary, and then it ends up not delivering 100%, and it bothered me. So my conclusion is that I will read the next book, because I did enjoy the world building, and I hope to enjoy that more now that I know that I have these qualms about the translation. I won't, however, read other books translated by this person. So, yeah. And then the seventh and next to last book that I read in March was An Academy for Liars, and I gave this 3.5 stars because I did enjoy it. So An Academy for Liars by Alexis Henderson is a paranormal novel. The world building kind of reminded me of the Skolan series, because of how there is a school that is kind of built in a sort of void. So the building, the world building is quite different in the different books on how they managed this, but it was reminiscent of that, and that is something that I enjoyed. And I enjoyed the school setting of this. So we follow a woman that she comes out of a devastating breakup, and on her way to nowhere, she gets a phone call at a random phone booth that says that she has come to the next level of the process of getting into this university, or this college. There's a college. And so she's like, I'm going insane, but I won't lose anything for trying, or like finding out what it is. So she ends up getting into this college, and it's the Academy for Liars. It's a school for persuasionists, and it's about her going to school, discovering her abilities, working on her abilities, and all of the ups and downs. And this was it was actually kind of fast paced. There was a lot happening, and there was a lot behind the scenes. It was very multi-layered, I would say, now that I think about it. My worst thing about this book was I didn't like her. I didn't like the main character. The one thing I liked the most was how the book and the story awakened a lot of moral inquiries. Like, there was a lot of questions arisen from it. What is right? What is wrong? What is good? What is evil? Is it okay to be a persuasionist at all? And there was a lot about, even the main character felt guilty for doing things that other people was like, but you're just doing what you have to, but does you really? So it was interesting in that way. And this is a book that, even though I gave it quite a low rating for my taste, only 3.5, it's a strong 3.5, a reluctant 4. And I wish it was a duology. I wish it was a series or a duology, because there was, even though the ending was okay, there was potential for more. So this one I kind of wish there was a continuation of. And then the last book that I read in March was this one. It is Ladie's #1 detective... The #1 Ladies Detective Agency by Alexander McCall Smith from my own TBR. And this one I haven't talked about in a video, in an update yet, so I'm gonna do that. I think I'm gonna read my current read first and talk about those two books in one video. So it will be a video breaching over the end of the month. But what I can say for now, and I will go deeper into it in the next video, is that I give it a 4-star. It's a detective novel. It's I've had it on my want to read list for a decade or more. It was first published in 2005, so 20 years ago. And this is a series. This is the first one in a series. So yeah. So this was the last one I finished. I finished it on the 28th of March, and after that I picked up my current read, which is a library book. And I've already talked about my TBR for April, so I'm not going to do that in this video. That's where I'm at now, and happy reading, everyone. I hope you had a lovely March reading, and that you are having a great start to April, and I will see you in my next video, which will probably be a reading update. Yeah, Xingling.